The genealogy of Jesus that I just proclaimed in our gospel for today contains a lot of complicated names. I'm sure you heard me stumble once or twice through it. And so it creates a real challenge to all the priests and deacons who are pronouncing them all over the world on this day each year. It might be surprising that the church asks us to do that. After all, it's not like she doesn't realize that all those names were there when the lectionary was set. We know that this part of the gospel was chosen for a specific reason. And not just because somebody wanted to make my life complicated by making me pronounce Jehoshaphat. So clearly, the church believes that there is something important for us to learn from the genealogy of Jesus. I think the lesson we are supposed to draw from that is that Jesus entered into the world with all the same complexities and imperfections that we face. After all, he didn't choose to just enter fully formed. He entered into a family with a history. Looking over the long list of names, we see a number of people who we know well. We've heard about them throughout Scripture. And others that we don't know very much about, or practically anything at all. For those that we do know about, we know that none of them is perfect. There's some great people on that list. For instance, King David was a wise and heroic leader. But at the same time, he made some serious mistakes and committed some real sins, as we are reminded when the reading points out that he had his son Solomon with the woman who had been the wife of Uriah. Similarly, Abraham is our father in faith. But looking at his life, we see that he also made mistakes in how he interacted with others. And they didn't always do things the right way with that trust and faith. And God chose to have his son enter into the world, into the care of Joseph, the descendant of those many people. Some good, some bad, some famous, some unknown, but all imperfect. And that really shows us something about the way that God works. Because when we look at our own lives, we see the same thing. He enters into our lives with all their imperfections. And that's important to remember because sometimes we feel like we need to get our lives in order and do things right in order to get God to love us and be really present in our lives. Thinking of the genealogy of Jesus should remind us that the opposite is true. God knows that our lives are chaotic, imperfect, and full of temptations. He doesn't expect us to overcome all that on our own before stepping in to reward us for our good work. He comes into the messiness of our lives in order to give us the blessings that we need in order to face the chaos, the temptations, and the imperfections. Let's make sure that we're always willing to listen for what the Lord is saying to us and trying to hear how he is calling on us to experience his love and his grace right now. He isn't expecting us to do everything right. He's ready to work through us as we are. And the more that we open our hearts to him and let him shine through us, the greater the things that he will do in us and for us. Not because we are perfect, but because he is willing to enter the messiness of this world and guide us through it.